Je maintiendrai. Bu aslanlı arma yıllardır Beyoğlu'nu süsler. Arkasında 400 yıllık bir ilişki var. Bugün İstanbul Kafası'nda 400 yıllık Hollanda ilişkisi var.
İstanbul, beni neden bir başıma bıraktın böyle? İstanbul, bu neyin kafası, anlayalım söyle. Yine gözlerinden düşüyor ya. İstanbul, kendini unutturma bana ne olur. İstanbul.
Bugün İstanbul Kafası Hollanda Konsolosluğunda. Hem iki ülke ilişkilerinin 400 yılı, hem buna bağlı olarak ortak kültürel faaliyetler, ilişkiler, hem de Beyoğlu'nun en güzel binalarından bir tanesi olan Hollanda Konsolosluğu'na yakından görüp bakalım istedik. So just 400 years.
Yes.
It's immense. It's huge. And I think that Holland is one of the very rare having that long relationship or political and also commercial relationship with Turkey or Ottoman Empire at the time.
Yeah, that's correct. We were among the first nations. Of course, the first to arrive here were the Genoese and the Venetians. Italy didn't exist yet. The English, United Kingdom didn't exist, and the French, but we were pretty close to them. And indeed, it's a relationship which is, I think, typified by trade and commerce. We came here 400 years ago to secure our commercial interests. We were still not a independent nation. We were fighting our war of independence against the Spaniards, and the contacts were half. The underlying reason was commercial, but political aspect also play a role because, of course, the Spanish Empire was not exactly friends with the Ottoman Empire either. So
Exactly, and there was a big war on Mediterranean.
Yes. So with the French motto, les ennemis de mes ennemis sont mes amis,
Mes amis.
There were contacts, and so we came this way. And indeed, in 1612, the first Dutch envoy landed at where now the Istanbul Modern is, more or less, and settled immediately in the surrounding of the present Palais de Hollande. So we can say, with some justification, that we've been on this spot for 400 years already. And then indeed, the then envoy Cornelis Haga had the fortunate circumstance that he knew the Minister of Warfare, the Ottoman minister, quite well. And he got an introduction to the Sultan the day after he arrived. And then he started negotiating the capitulations as a basis for our trade, not only in Istanbul, but in the Ottoman Empire. And after 3 months of hard negotiations, he secured, if you then compare it with the other nations which I just described, the best capitulations. Which
A huge one, a big one.
Yeah, a very big one.
I'm just, literally it was big also.
Yeah, it was big. The original is still in the archives in the Netherlands, and I have a facsimile of it. It's a very huge one, a very beautiful one indeed, yeah.
Yeah. You're using too many French words, and even when you enter the
Je
consulate, je maintiendrai.
Yeah.
So this is just because they are coming from Oranje or
Well,
Orange.
it's of course the princedom of Orange is in the south of France, but at the same time French was langue de la cour in those days. So also our national motto Je maintiendrai was dated to the days in which French was the normal language among the nobility and between the royal families and the courts in Europe.
In Europe,
Yes, I mean even the Brits, as you know, have "On y soit qui mal y pense" as national motto.
And even the Americans are using voyez, voyez when they enter the court.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's why the Holland national team is using orange color.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or
That's the official family name is the prince, for instance. They are that's the name.
So that's why even at the anniversary of the Queen, you have orange days and all the orange ornation.
That's very much our national color. Absolutely.
And just coming from France, this is a bit fun, but it shows also how Europe was organized at the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So coming back to those days in early 17th century, Ottoman Empire, Holland, and even Morocco was in.
Yes. Exactly.
Just against those Spanish guys.
Yes, exactly.
And this, I tried to read this Ahitname, which is called in Ottoman Empire language rather than a capitulation. It's also covering India and all goods coming from India.
Yes, because the trade was not only did we take things like Angora wool, gallnuts, fruits from Turkey to the Netherlands, and silk, of course, but we traded them with spices we took from India. So spices like pepper and all kind of rather old-fashioned cinnamon spices you had. So it was a barter trade, and we used, let's say, many of the trade routes we had to interchange commercial goods. Yeah.
And also, one of the most important part was Holland was able to use Egyptian, which was part of the Ottoman Empire. Egyptian ports with very, very limited taxes, if I may call it taxes, some charges, let's call it.
Yeah.
And I think that Egyptian ports were much more important than the today's mainland ports, it seems.
That could be. I mean, you're even more aware than I am. Congratulations.
So I'm and how it happens after those 400 years, how you feel as a diplomat in Turkey now, the heritage of the 400 years?
Well, we started organizing this year, so to speak, already shortly after I came 4 years ago. And we thought this would be a unique opportunity to reinforce and deepen the relations. The relations were good, and of course the relations were important. Turkey as a country in change, Turkey as a candidate for EU membership, Turkey with 400,000 people of Turkish origin working and living in the Netherlands, which gives this link.
Even having good roles in political life.
Exactly, and increasingly commercially active. That is the leitmotiv.
And 75% are I have Dutch nationality.
Absolutely, yes, exactly. So we thought it was an ideal opportunity to intensify and deepen the various aspects of the relationship: the commercial and trade relationship, the cultural relationship, the interhuman, people-to-people relationship.
Even NATO relationship those days.
Well, exactly, and that's a good tradition, as you know, because we've been stationing patriots twice before in the country. So. And looking back now at this year, I must say that on all levels, it was a quite successful year. It was a year which saw many official visits. The first President Gül on an official state visit to the Netherlands. Queen Beatrix came to Turkey. Our Prime Minister came to Ankara and Istanbul. And of course, our Crown Prince, the Prince of Orange, and his wife Maxima came to Istanbul. So these were the high-level visits. We saw with President Gül and with the Prime Minister trade delegations, which succeeded in getting various contacts with their Turkish counterparts, which I'm sure will be a good basis for intensifying our bilateral trade even further. We've had, of course, many cultural events, not only big cultural Dutch events in Turkey, like the Rembrandt exhibition, the Concertgebouw Orchestra, the Netherlands Dance Theatre, but also many Turkish cultural events in the Netherlands. And that is important for us. It's not only the celebration in Turkey of 400 years of relationship, it is a celebration of a bilateral relationship. And so throughout the Netherlands, not only organized and supported by the Turkish government and the Prime Minister's Cultural Fund, but also organized by the Turkish community themselves or by the municipalities, the big municipalities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague and Utrecht were very active. So there was Turkish music, there were Turkish exhibitions, there were debates on Turkish politics. So that is for me even I think more important than of course the very nice high-level cultural events, but it was really a bilateral celebration which involved both populations in both countries, and so I think
and brought them much more
closer together.
It seems so. I mean, just also whenever you talk about closer relations, you have to take into account always the financial part of it. I think that the total commerce size is around $20 billion.
Well, it depends how you define it. I mean, the bilateral trade is about $7 billion,
17,
and the investments is $13 billion. Yeah.
This is quite important that Holland direct investment in Turkey is quite high.
It is. We were, for the past 6-7 years, we've been among the first 3 FDI countries in Turkey, yes.
And just in the last 10 years, you are still one of the big 3 investing in Turkey. This I never understood. Holland, such a small country, if you look at the maps, having investments everywhere.
Yes.
Even we are talking about 400 years ago when the relationship started, you were already talking about India.
Yes.
I'm just in South America. Holland has lens or had lens over there.
Of course, yes.
So how on earth I'm just such a small country controlling the total world trade?
Yeah, I mean, this is also by necessity. We are a small country, which is of course at the Rhine Delta, strategically located, but without many natural resources. So we needed to trade. Trade became our bread and butter, so to speak, and that is why over the centuries we developed a very intensive trade. I think coupled with presence everywhere, in the early days, of course, an important naval power to secure our trade routes. But with some exceptions, you mentioned the lands in South America, and of course Indonesia, with some exceptions, not colonizing too much because we didn't want to overstretch ourselves. And this has been very much the tradition of Dutch trade. And there are more amazing figures. Do you know that, for instance, after the United States, we are the second biggest producer of agricultural goods, of agricultural produce in the world. So, such a small country.
Yes. That's why we can understand easily why you have a just consulate today, but an embassy at that time here in the diplomatic heart of the city.
Yes.
Because it's normal that French was an empire at that time, so they have a big one. Russia, it's understandable. But I'm just two more understanding countries were Sweden and Holland.
Yes.
Because also it's interesting when you look İstiklal Caddesi, you see that on one hand you have French, Dutch, Russian, Swedish. On the other hand, just on the other side,
Yes.
just the opposite, you have the Anglo-Saxons.
Yeah.
And nothing to do with anyone. Germans are somewhere else.
Yes. Well, they arrived a bit late. Yeah.
Yes, but also this shows also how the world was
Yes.
organized
Of course,
at that
yeah.
time.
Yeah,
This is a typical map of those centuries ago,
absolutely.
how the world was organized.
Yes, absolutely.
And it was a very big land here.
It was, yes. Actually, it was bought in the beginning of the 18th century. In those days, the Dutch envoy had to buy it himself from his own funds, and then he sold it to his successor. And then it, in the 19th century, was taken over by the Department of Levantine Trade, which was the department, kind of public-private partnership, which run the Dutch trade in this part of the world. And when the trade subsided a bit in the mid of the 19th century, this Department of Levantine Trade was taken over by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and so gradually the palace got into the hands of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And of course then they needed to administrate it a bit more stricter, and that is why parts of the land were sold basically for construction. The present Palais d'Hollande, which was, as you will know, being an expert on this issue, designed by Barberini. He was a pupil of the Fossati brothers. The ministry agreed with the building in 1859 of the present Palais d'Hollande only on budget-neutral grounds. So we had to sell parts of our territory, so to speak, to finance the building.
So it's a diplomacy of that time, you see.
Exactly. Well,
it's a self-sufficiency.
Some things never change.
I'm just this self-sufficiency.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, if I'm not mistaken, those lands were also used as the big entrepôts for the Dutch goods.
Yes.
It was always, I can call it a tax-free zone for
if you want to put it in modern terms.
Dutch trade goods.
Yeah. Well, the diplomacy was much different in those days. I mean, not only entrepôts, but you know that, of course, we also had prisons for the Dutch nationals who had committed crimes, but also for Turkish nationals who had committed crimes against the envoy or his staff. So you could not imagine that these days.
Exactly. Even with those capitulation agreement, no Dutch can be arrested by Ottoman authorities anywhere.
Anyway, no, that's true. Yeah.
So one more thing. This was an embassy, and today this is a consulate.
Yes.
And I feel at home. It's really a home-like, a very nice, superb, 150 years old house, nicely and humanly decorated. How on earth you can be that human?
I don't know. This is part of our mentality as well. I don't know whether you know the British historian Simon Schama. Well, he wrote a book about the Dutch, The Embarrassment of Riches, and this is, I think, the answer. We never bought or constructed of the profit we made, being, of course, in essence, a Calvinistic country. We never built big palaces, and if you look also at cities like Amsterdam and The Hague, you cannot compare them with Berlin or Paris or Brussels even. It's a total other concept, and still, of course, with a lot of style. If you look at Amsterdam and The Hague, nice city palaces and beautiful buildings were built. And I think, but it was indeed the fact that the money wasn't used to show off. It was rather used for social purposes or to even make more money for the family. And that is, but at the same time we of course believed in the functionality, so we built nice buildings, but not to show off. That is, I think, if you read the history, something which will be very familiar to you.
For a normal, regular Turkish person, it's quite unusual to see a prime minister riding a bike. And during those celebrations,
yes.
this this was the unique front page story rather than any other very interesting things, because we are not used to have prime ministers or important people,
Royalty.
I mean, just using
Yeah.
bikes for the
Yeah.
even for the official days.
Yeah. Well, that's basically also from the same attitude. At the same time, of course, the bicycling in Istanbul is for us also something which is interesting.
Bicycle in Istanbul is
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, to explore as a possibility.
It's the only city that you cannot even ride a bike.
Well, things will change because the short bike ride by the Prince of Orange and his wife Maxima, Princess Maxima, was really the beginning of a serious discussion with a number of non-governmental organizations, a Dutch organization specialized in bicycle infrastructure and bicycle policy, and municipalities in Istanbul, to see what is possible here. To do more cycling because it's a healthy way of transport, it's environmentally friendly. And of course, Istanbul, because it's built on 7 hills, the possibilities are not unlimited.
700 now.
Yeah, exactly. The possibilities are not unlimited, but there are more possibilities than present day exist. And so this is for us also very much what we want to explore in future contacts and cooperation with Turkey. So, and I think it's very, it stands a good chance of bringing results. Very
But also
high
for me,
potential.
this shows also the Dutch mentality that formalities are quite limited.
Well,
This is not a degeneration, but this is more living properly and more in a human way, I think.
I was 5, you were 3. We were dancing in the street, and you looked just like an angel. You looked up beside the sky, saw the birds, and wondered why they could fly away so high. In the morning I would wake, and my heart just couldn't wait to play in your light.
Cadde-i Kebir, Beyoğlu, İstiklal Caddesi. Var olduğundan beri şehrin önemli merkezi. Cıvıl cıvıl, gürültü içinde. Bu koca gürültülü caddenin yanında bazen insanların huzur bulması gereken bir yere ihtiyacı olduğu düşünülüyor. İşte Hollanda Konsolosluğu'nun bahçesinde bir belediye bankı var. Bu huzur için. Ama bu belediye sessizlik belediyesi. Çünkü bu şehirde belki de en çok ihtiyacımız olan sessizlik, bir yeşillik, bir ağaç altında bulunabiliyor. Pek yeşillik yok, pek ağaç altı yok. Demek ki 400 yıllık konsoloslukların bahçelerinde huzur bulabilecek bir yer olması dahi hayal etmeye değer. Daniel, ne kadardır Türkiye, İstanbul'dasın?
Ben buradayım 4,5 sene.
4,5 sene.
Evet. Çok
Keyifli
zaman.
ama.
Evet, çok keyifli. Çok keyifli.
Peki nasıl İstanbul'da kültürden sorumlu bir insan olmak?
Kültürden sorumlular yani
Sorumlu,
nasıl
responsible of the cultural things.
Güzel. Yani özellikle these last few years have been really special. I was talking with a friend recently that I think these years Istanbul and Turkey in general has really seen an enormous increase in the cultural world in amount, in quality. Even this street where we are in the past few years, our neighbors who have come here, Arter, Borusan Music House, Salt, which has opened down the street in Galata also. It's developed enormously.
Yeah.
And
When you start from Bankalar Caddesi till Taksim,
yeah,
yes.
you see culture much more visible. I mean, let's say institutionalized culture.
Now, let's start with
Yeah.
Concertgebouw, because it was the last one, but I think a big one.
Yeah.
because it's been years that they didn't come here, but we know that they have almost 120 concerts per year, and most of it is out of Holland.
Yeah.
And it's quite a rare time that they were in Istanbul.
They've been here, I think it was 5 years ago before, and then maybe 3 years ago they came in a smaller,
much smaller
group,
in that
smaller
time,
part, and they've been in Izmir 2 years ago. So they do have, I mean, they do tend to come to Turkey because they know people really appreciate them. But they are currently preparing for a big world tour, which is going to take place in 2013, which will take them all around the world again, to Japan and to South Africa and South America. I mean, this is the kind of Dutch cultural product which can sell all over the world and which is appreciated for its world-class quality.
Yeah, it's a real top quality. Even I was at the concert, and I remember always this sentence: "This was the best Turkish national hymn that we heard."
Well, I'm glad to hear.
Everybody was talking about that. It was the very first time that it was done.
Yeah,
it was played so nicely.
It was the best Dutch national hymn I heard also.
Oh, good. This also showed that this 400th year ceremonies show that both parties had quite a cultural relationship too.
Yeah, I think it's been extremely intense in this year, the exchange. I mean, we have a very large and long history of working with each other and having exchanges with each other, with the Turkish population, living in the Netherlands also, the Dutch population of Turkish origin, I should say. But in this year, we've seen that there's been an enormous increase in the amount of events taking place, which also have to do with the fact that Istanbul and Turkey has become such an attractive place from people all around the world to come to. I mean, it's not for nothing that the New York Times mentions Istanbul as one of the hot places in the world, and you feel it when you come here. I mean, every single Dutch person who came here this year was saying to us, especially if it was their first time, this is a place where we all would want to live, and this is a place which is so energizing and is so inspiring also, especially for people working in the cultural field, that it leaves its mark on people, and people want to come here, and the story is spread.
I hope that people living in Istanbul feels the same.
I hope people in Istanbul realize what a special city they're living in. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk slightly about this Tulip story.
Yeah.
Because I'm just Turkish believers. I'm just Dutch guys had learned tulips from Turkey, but we know that both countries are using tulips for many logos or even their national plant.
Yeah.
We all know that in Ottoman Empire, religiously, tulip has a completely different meaning, and tulip has a completely different standing than even a plant. But what's your story about this relationship?
Well, we stole it from you. That's the main story.
Let's say you learned from us.
Yeah, we learned how to how to make the tulip into a big success. I think there was a time at the beginning of the 17th century, after the tulip was introduced from Turkey to the Netherlands, where there was it's comparable, let's say, to the art market these days in Turkey. There was a complete craze for these tulip bulbs, and people would buy astronomical prices for tulip bulbs, and you could even, I think, with a few bulbs, get a house on the canal in Amsterdam, maybe exaggerating a bit, but it was really something special. And then now we see that, for example, earlier this year there was the Tulip Festival with Mayor Topbaş, our Consul General also was there. They inaugurated a special Dutch patch, and now we are trying to get back to Turkey with the tulips also. I mean, since it has really, if you come to Istanbul in spring, it's incredible how many millions of tulips you see planted here.
Exactly.
So I think it's pretty Turkish still also. It's Dutch, but it's Turkish as well.
Beyaz Gül, Cornelius Calcoen'in sevgilisi. 18. yüzyılın başları. Büyükelçi de burada uzunca bir süre kalıyor. Fakat giderken sevgilisini yanında götürmüyor. Sevgilisi de üzüntüsünden ölüyor. Ölmekle kalmıyor. Ondan sonraki 300 yıl boyunca sürekli Hollanda sarayını ziyaret ediyor, kendini hatırlatıyor. Hollandalılar da Beyaz Gül'e sahip çıkıyorlar ve ona bir küçük heykel yapıyorlar bahçelerine. Bu Çerkez güzeline hatta Çerkez toplumu da büyük sevgi gösteriyor. Ara ara uğrayıp kendisine çiçekler, beyaz güller getiriyorlar. Bu binaların efsanelerle yaşaması ilginç. Onun için de zaten bu sarayda yaşayan bazı diplomat eşleri de Beyaz Gül'ün ziyaretlerinden hep bahsede dururlar.
And yes, there are some stories around the palace, and especially about our own ghost, as you have mentioned her, Beyaz Gül, the white rose. She, for those people who don't know, she was the lover of a Dutch ambassador who lived here in the beginning of the 18th century, Cornelis Calcoen, and her. When he was appointed to his next post in Dresden, when he had to leave here, she was left behind, and she was a Cherkess, by the way, and she died of a broken heart. So a very
Those
tragic
days,
story.
broken heart
yeah,
may
still
kill
existed.
people.
Yeah. So that was very tragic, and her ghost still haunts the palace, and there have been many people who hear her at night, cupboards or windows, this kind of thing. And yes, she has not left yet, as far as we know, and we have had some projects around the white rose, Beyaz Gül. And if you see now from the İstiklal, it's still there. There was an artwork made by a Dutch artist called Titia X, a neon light work, which especially at night you can see, and it's supposed to represent the floating Beyaz Gül apparition, and it's a kind of respect tribute to Beyaz Gül.
So keep her there rather than within the building.
Yeah, we're hoping that she'll appreciate it, and I think she usually harasses single men at the consulate. This is the story I've heard
Or felt.
Well, no, I can't say really. I mean, I don't live in the consulate, and it's been some time that I haven't stayed here. So, yeah.
So you also enjoy Istanbul personally, I think, as far as I saw, at least.
As far as I see you too. It's good we share this, I think. It's something we have in common. No, yeah, I mean, it's a very special city. This is one of the most energetic, one of the most young cities also around the world, which I've been. And already geographically, I mean, the way the city is spread out on this Bosphorus, and when you fly into Istanbul and you see it, it really, your heart jumps a little bit. So I think this is something unique, and what is also really what I like about the city is how mixed it is. I mean, it's a city of contrasts, and you have really different neighborhoods within a very small distance of each other. I mean, even this neighborhood where we are in Beyoğlu, you have all kinds of lifestyles very close to each other.
Yeah, I'm just, even you take in the center İstiklal, and both parts are completely different.
Yeah.
It's a real,
and
very interesting reciprocity.
Yeah, no, I know. And go down the hill, and you're in a different world. And I find it fascinating to see this mix happening here, and how the different parts of the city relate to each other. And it's a huge privilege to be able to work in such a place, and then with all the events taking place here and where I always very gladly would go to, it was something, a good occasion also to meet people, and a good occasion also to work on a year like the one we had, by meeting the people you meet, and of course a good occasion to have a bit of fun.
Of course. Bir ilişkinin 400 yıl sürebilmesinin sebeplerinin sadece ticari ya da sadece siyasi olma imkanı yok. Okay, I just one more question.
Yes.
Daniel, bu nedir?
Bu benim şapka. Çünkü benim havuz orada, Kasımpaşa'da. Onun için ben bir gece, çok soğuk bir gece, bu şapka aldım. Ve yani benim mahalle gibi. O zaman
Kasımpaşa'yı mı tutuyorsun futbol takımı
yani
olarak?
biraz Kasımpaşa, biraz Galatasaray.
O da mahalleden değil mi?
o da benim mahalle. Onun için.
Harika. Hollanda Konsolosluğu sadece 400 yıllık bir siyasi ilişkinin değil, aynı zamanda 400 yıllık kültürel bir ilişkinin de sürekliliğini sağlamış. Hatta 2002 yılında verilen bir partide Abdülaziz'in yazdığı Padişah Marşı yine belki de tarihte ikinci defa bir yabancı elçilikte, burada Hollanda elçiliğinde seslendirilmiş. Daha önce 1852'de ilk ve son defa İngiliz Büyükelçiliğinde, şimdiki konsolosluk olan yerde seslendirilmişti. Aynı zamanda aynı partide Mehter Marş'ta kullanılmıştı. Dolayısıyla siyasi ilişkilerle kültürel ilişkiler paralel gittiği zaman dostluklar ortaya çıkıyor.